Yo guys, Punkrat another video. So there's been a bunch of demand for me to keep making leveling guides for Classic. I've already made two, one for the Hunter and one for the Warrior, which you guys seem to like a lot, and I keep seeing comments asking me to continue making them for all of the classes. Well, ask and you shall receive, brothers. I will bless you with the leveling guides that you desire. For this one, we're going to be covering the puritanical, evangelical, sermon-serving preacher we all love, the Priest, the class of the Holy Book. Priests are a great endgame class, as I've stated consistently in many of the videos that I've made in the past. Alongside that, priests are also very fast levelers, which may surprise you since people tend to think that healer classes are really hopeless in a solo leveling perspective. So let's go over exactly what you need to do to level up effectively on a priest in Classic WoW solo. Here's my priest leveling guide. Let's get into it. So firstly, really quick, your first decision is obviously going to be what race to pick. On Alliance, your choice is between Dwarf and Human. I'd suggest going Dwarf over Human for both PvE and PvP. You get access to Stone Form and Fear Ward as a Dwarf, which is clearly superior to Perception considering that there's no arenas in Classic. In PvE, both Alliance races are great, to be honest. You don't have to go a Dwarf. Humans have increased spirit by 5%, which helps obviously with mana regeneration, and there's also a talent which converts your spirit to spell power at 25%. But dwarves bring Fear Ward, which is the free ticket to a raid spot. But you only need a couple Fear Wards in the raid in total, so not every priest has to be a dwarf, so go human if you want. As for priest-specific racial abilities, dwarfs and humans both have Desperate Prayer, which I'm sure most of you guys know because it's still in the game, and Night Elves have Star Shards. And of course you can go Night Elf Priest, but don't be a weeb. Although as a Night Elf, you can use Shadow Meld and mind control people out of the stealth like an ambush mind control and then throw them off a cliff, but I guess if you want that to be your identity as a priest, you can go Night Elf, but I wouldn't suggest it if you're tryharding. For Horde, you have Trolls and Undead. I'd say it's way more clear cut here. If you want to focus on PvP, people always tend to go Undead. I mean, in the history of WoW, Horde PvPers always tend to go Undead. You'll get access to Will of the Forsaken for dropping out of Fears and Charms, and you get Devouring Plague, which is an Undead Priest specific ability, which is a decently strong dot that you could stack alongside your Shadow Word Pain. And of course you got Cannibalize, which is pretty cool too, right? Now when it comes to Troll, I'd say they're a highly underrated PvP race when it comes to being a Shadow Priest, with the spell that they have access to called Shadow Guard, which damages attackers like a lightning shield that we see from Shamans. And of course for PvE and in PvP as well, they have Berserking, which is an offensive cooldown that gives them haste. Trolls in general are the clear choice for PvE as either a Holy Priest or a Shadow Priest, but they can also rival the Undead Priest when it comes to Shadow Priest PvP. So don't underestimate the Troll's ability in the PvP scene when it comes to being a Shadow Priest. So now let's go over talents for leveling up. In your early levels, you'll be splitting up your talent points between Discipline and Shadow. The two most important leveling talents in general are actually in the first tier talent slot for both of those trees. So your first 10 talent points from level 10 to level 20 of course will be going 5 into Shadow and 5 into Discipline. The Shadow talent that you're going for is called Spirit Tap, which gives you a 100% chance to gain 100% bonus Spirit after killing a mob that yields experience. And following that kill, you get 50% increased mana regeneration while casting for 15 seconds. The Discipline talent that you're looking at is called Wand Specialization, which obviously is pretty self-explanatory just from the name. It increases the damage of your wand strikes by 25%. These two talents working together offer you the ability to sustain through mass mob killing without taking mana breaks as often as other classes. Spirit Tap obviously because your mana will just regen stronger after downing a mob and allows your mana to regenerate while casting on the next mob that you engage for the first 15 seconds that carries over. And of course, improved wands allowing you to use your wand more effectively, which means that you can just use it more often and save mana by not actually casting spells to finish off your enemies and just using your wand. Not to mention the 5-second mana rule that kicks in while you're using your wand instead of actually casting spells, which reduces your mana regeneration. So for the first little portion of your leveling experience, let's say from level 10 to level 30, you're going to be prioritizing Discipline for the increased regen while casting, Inner Focus, reduced instant cast mana cost, improved shield, and also getting Spirit Tap and improved Shadow Word Pain in the Shadow Tree. Once you complete the base, you can start working into your Shadow Tree, working towards more offensive spells like Mind Flay. Although I wouldn't prioritize going for Mind Flay until you have access to rank 3 Mind Flay, because it won't outperform your smite until rank 3. In your late level 30s, you can also opt to respec and push deeper into the shadow tree in order to prioritize more damage and just get a couple base talents and discipline. You're of course going to be getting improved wands, and you could push a bit further beyond that. It depends on what you're comfortable with. If you want to drop the mid-tier discipline talents that you prioritized early for the mid-tier shadow talents at that point, it's a pretty good idea, but it is fine either way. You aren't absolutely forced to respec shadow at that point. You can just build on top of the early talents that you already selected. But in general, I'd say respecing into shadow from level 36 to level 40 is probably the best route to go, and just take improved wands and the basic little things that you need in discipline and focus deeper into shadow. Now, just a little tidbit addition here in relation to the first tier shadow talent that we spoke about, named Spirit Tap. This makes Spirit your #1 priority while leveling up, even over Intellect in terms of itemization. You want to be stacking as much Spirit as possible due to how the effectiveness of the stat becomes inflated with that talent. Passive mana regen is your #1 priority while leveling to increase your pace. Alright, so now that you understand the strength of Spirit Tap and wands and how that affects your leveling process, let's transition that into the preferred attack rotation that you want to be using while blasting your way through mobs. So the first thing you do, regardless of your talent build, you pretty much always do this, is throw a shield on yourself, and situationally stack a renew on top of that shield as well. But keep in mind that you don't want to renew yourself if you're at full HP already with the shield applied. I mean, if you renewed yourself with an extra shield on top and you're full HP, the majority of that renew, the ticks, will probably just go to waste and end up overhealing you. At that point, cast it on yourself later once the shield's broken, and you can pop it on yourself to just have a passive heal going while you're taking strikes from the enemy mob. The next part is engaging the mob. So at first, you cast the smite into a Shadow Word Pain on the target, followed by wand damage to just finish the target alongside your Shadow Word Pain ticks. So you just have that passive damage going from your dot, the Shadow Word Pain, with the wand strikes going in over and over and over again, and that's why the improved wand talent is so important. But as you level, you get access to 2 new spells in Holy Fire and Mind Blast. When you get Holy Fire, you want to be opening up with that instead of Smite. So you'll shield yourself first and renew if applicable, then cast a Holy Fire into a Shadow Word Pain, applying double damage over time effects onto the target. Then following up with a quick Mind Blast as the mob is running to you, since Mind Blast is a pretty fast cast, and then complementing that passive dot damage with your wand strikes till the mob is down. Pretty simple. I mean, open up with your classic spells, stack your dots, and just wand, 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 and wand away. Yeah, lots of wanding. Get used to it though. That's pretty much what you're going to be doing as you're leveling as a priest. By the end of it, you'll be dreaming of wands in your sleep.
Wingardium Leviosa. Wow.
Now, once you start prioritizing your shadow tree in later levels, so late level 30s, early level 40s, once you get access to rank 3 Mind Flay and enough talents in your shadow tree to make it worth it, your rotation changes a little bit. This is where casting Power Word Shield on yourself before engaging in a fight is super crucial. So at this point, you play more like a traditional Shadow Priest. You want to pop a shield on yourself, renew if you aren't deep enough into Shadow to actually get Shadow Form, because if you're respect as Shadow as your new priority, you can't actually renew yourself without leaving Shadow Form. So that aspect becomes null. That aspect of your rotation is just not something you're going to be doing, because going in and out of Shadow Form takes a ton of mana. Now let's say for this example that you did actually respec into Shadow and you do have access to Shadow Form. This changes your rotation to where you're only going to shield yourself on the opener without a renew, as I just stated. So you'll shield yourself, Mind Blast into a Shadow Word Pain, the typical opener, followed by a Mind Flay, which is what's expected from a Shadow Priest. Now when it comes to how many Mind Flays you should be casting before defaulting to your wand damage, I'd say about 2. But keep in mind that you should only use Mind Flay if you have a shield applied onto yourself. The shield itself will stop your spell cast from being pushed back by the pushback mechanic when attacks are coming in from the enemy that you're fighting. So once that Power Word Shield is broken through by the incoming enemy hits, your Mind Flay channeling will be hurt by the incoming damage, causing you to lose damage since the pushback will skip over Mind Flay ticks. So you basically want to Mind Flay while your shield is still active onto yourself and absorbing, and once that shield is broken through, you now prioritize your wand to finish the enemy. Seems pretty intuitive, right? Oh, and don't forget to always keep your character buffed with Inner Fire. Keep renewing it over and over again when it runs out, which will obviously reduce incoming melee damage, allowing your shield to last longer since you'll be taking less damage from each strike. So that's pretty much what you need to know in terms of combat. It's all about consistency. And as I stated earlier, priests are very consistent levelers. That's pretty much what it's all about. Consistency and pace. You have the ability to open, dot, wand, mob after mob after mob after mob with less mana breaks than most other classes because of Spirit Tap and the consistent micro damage that you have access to between your dots and your wand. So as we now know, wand damage is the core of your leveling experience as a priest. It's what allows you to keep a good pace. So let's go over some basic wand progression while leveling up. In the early levels, you want to get an enchanting wand from either a friend, guildie, or an enchanter, or just buy it off the auction house because it's dirt cheap. So we got lesser magic wand and greater magic wand. In your level 20s, you want to get Gravestone Scepter from the quest Black Fathom Villainy in BFD. Near level 30, you can get access to Excavation Rod from Ormer's Revenge, which is a quest in the wetlands. In your mid-level 30s, you can get Dancing Flame on Horde side in Thousand Needles, or you can get on Alliance side Burning Sliver in Hillsbrad Foothills. Again, in your late 30s, you can get Goblin Igniter in Stranglethorn Vale, or you can get Gnomish Zapper, which is from the quest Sunken Treasure in Arathi Highlands. At level 41, you can get access to Blackbone Wand, which you just buy from a wand merchant in any main city. In your mid-level 40s, you have Cairnstone Sliver, which you get from the quest line that leads to the Marrow Stone in Fairless. Again, in your mid to late level 40s, we've got Charged Lightning Rod, which is from a quest line in Searing Gorge. Now this one is also in mid-level 40s, but it's actually a drop in a dungeon, and it's called Noxious Shooter, which drops off Noxian in Maradon. And another drop, we've got Rod of Corrosion, which drops off Shade of Aranicus, the last boss in Sunken Temple. I made a video on general wand progression, which I'll link in the description, and I'll also link the spreadsheet with all the available wands in the game, which is what I actually used to make that video. So if you guys want to delve deeper into that sort of stuff, then just click the links in the description. But over here, I feel like I mentioned all of the best available wands that you could get in terms of item power in relation to their attainable level, and of course, ease of obtainability. Alright fellas, that's all I got for this one. Priest leveling is pretty simple. It doesn't have as many little details to cover like hunter leveling, for example, like I had to do in that guide, so this one was pretty short. I know many people think healer classes struggle when it comes to a solo leveling perspective, but hopefully this video dispels that notion for you guys. In fact, you can level as a disciplined priest pretty much the whole way at a great pace. Priests and druids have always been my go-to healers in World of Warcraft, and in my opinion, you can't go wrong with rolling a priest in Classic, so if you're hesitating, don't. You'll have a great time. Drop a comment below for which class you guys want me to cover next in terms of leveling guides, or if you guys have any other tips and tricks that make the leveling process that much more efficient on a priest, I'd love to hear your opinions. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to join the notification squad so you can be notified whenever I drop a new video. You know the drill, soldiers. I'm going to be focusing on blasting out these leveling guides now for a little bit since we're basically a month off the official release of Classic. I mean, holy boys, 1 month. It's nuts, crazy to even think about. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully you learned something, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.